Hi, you're welcome to our roundtable on women in development. My name is Ovo Bebor, and here with me is
Kalista Joffrey.
it's part of our attempt to commemorate the International Women's Day. And this year's theme is Breaking Barriers, Accelerating Action.
Yeah.
Kalista, do you want to share with us, what we look to get out of the roundtable discussion? What are the key areas we are looking at?
Okay, so today we're going to be talking with three incredible women that have been in the international development space for a long time. And we're going to be hearing from them their struggles, the barriers that we are facing in this space, as well as their advice on how we can move forward. They also will be sharing with us the initiative that they have on ground. So we'll be hearing quite a lot from them today.
Thank you. Before we get started, we'd like to give you a bit of an insight into who these women are. I will start with Belinda Boateng. Belinda is an innovative consultant. She's a data engineer, and she's an impact strategist shaping the future of international development with over a decade experience in market systems, evaluation, and data-driven solution. She turns complex challenges into opportunities for growth and change. Belinda is armed with 2 master's degrees in economics and agricultural economics, and she's a technical expert with deep understanding of market dynamics and sustainability. Belinda is currently pursuing her PhD in evaluation measurement and research, and she's pushing boundaries of impact assessment and program evaluation. From leading multi-stakeholder projects to shaping policies that drive inclusion and efficiency, Belinda is passionate about creating real systemic change. She specializes in gender dynamics in economics, ensuring that interventions uplift marginalized communities, particularly women. Now, beyond work, Belinda is a mentor, guiding teams to strengthen their measurement and evaluation strategies. Whether crafting a theory of change, assessing interventions, or developing market system solutions, she's committed to driving transformative impact. On a personal level, Belinda lives in Canada with her husband and 3 kids, proving that you can balance purpose-driven work with a fulfilling family life. Follow her journey as she makes and continues to make a difference and impact.
Is to just let you know the kind of women that we have on board today.
Yeah, who else do we have there?
So we have Dr. Blessing Allen Adebayo. Now, Dr. Blessing is an international development leader with over 12 years' experience in market systems development, focusing on economic growth and food security in conflict-afflicted regions. She specializes in designing sustainable high-impact solutions that strengthen markets, foster resilience, and create long-term opportunities for community. Now, as the global advisor on market systems development at People in Need, she provides technical support to programs across Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, helping organizations transit from traditional aid to market-driven, climate-smart approaches. She has also served as environmental advisor at PropCom Plus and tier lead on the PropCom McAfee, both FCDO-funded initiatives supporting climate-resilient agriculture and economic discovery. Now, Blessing holds a doctorate in environmental microbiology and public health and is currently exploring the role of artificial intelligence in bioremediation to develop innovative solutions for environmental recovery.
Wonderful. Yes, let's meet the third woman, Ifat Mahmood. Ifat is a personal friend. Ifat Mahmood is the regional representative Africa at Innovation Global Consulting, leading the firm's expansion and strategic engagements in West Africa. IFAD has over a decade of experience in market systems development, large-scale surveys, and enterprise ecosystems analysis. She has worked extensively across Nigeria, Ghana, Mozambique, and Tanzania. IFAD has led high-impact projects on enterprise support organizations, mapping financial literacy, and value chain development, working with donor agencies, private sector stakeholders, and foundations to strengthen SME ecosystems. Her expertise lies in designing data-driven interventions, fostering private sector partnerships, and aligning donor strategies with sustainable market growth. IFAD holds a master's in development studies and has completed her executive training in women transforming leadership at Oxford University. Wonderful women.
All right, and here we have Miss Ogene Ovu Ugbegbo. Ovu is a market systems development expert with almost 20 years development experience on national and multi-country programs and across donors. Ovu is a managing partner at Ikore, leading several business interests, including consultancies on nature-based solutions, food systems, and economic growth. Now, Ovu has an MSc in social business and entrepreneurship from the London School of Economics. Also, an MSc in operations and supply chain from the University of Liverpool, and a degree in pharmacy from the University of Benin. I would say that's my alma mater. So, before assuming the managing partner role at Ikore, she was the strategy director on the FCDO Propcom Plus program, leading design, piloting, and scaling of proven inclusive climate-smart business models to improve the incomes and the resilience of vulnerable women and men whilst benefiting nature. So we can see that she's already doing something. She was already doing something for women. Ovu has a strong research and policy background, contributing and leading several policy influencing work, shaping the market systems and expanding products and service delivery in health and agriculture. When not working at Ikore, she supports a few social enterprises, helping women and vulnerable groups build capacity to thrive in a dynamic environment. For hobbies, Ovu loves learning, meeting people, singing, and dancing. I can attest to the singing and dancing. I have lots of videos of that. So these are the women that we are going to be having a conversation with today, and I believe it's going to be interesting, inspiring, would have a lot to learn. I look forward to hearing from you today. I have a few questions. I believe that during the course of doing things for women in the development space, you must have faced some challenges. So what are the challenges that you must have faced, and how have you been able to overcome them? So the question now is directed to Ovu. Yes.
Thank you, Kalista. My journey in this space started almost 20 years ago, where I stumbled on a program by the UN, and I volunteered for the program. But before then, there was very little about international development that I had seen. Very few, apart from the UNICEF adverts online. There's little you'll find online about it. So when I got in the space, to be honest, the people that were there were mostly men who served as mentors in the space. But as I got in there, it was something I was passionate about. I realized I wanted to solve problems. I wanted to be able to make big impact, global impact. And so I started to navigate, that journey, just looking at the few mentors that were out there. It was not altogether bumpy. I think the biggest challenge is really finding the knowledge and the people to inspire you to be able to do stuff. But it's been almost 20 odd years of, just navigating, having friends like Ifat, Belinda, and Blessing. You rub minds together. I think my biggest blessing is really meeting these great women here, and we just inspire each other, and they inspire you without knowing that they're inspiring you. I think that would be my answer.
Thank you very much for that. I think I've taken one or two from that. So I have a question for you, Ifat. When Ovo was speaking, she talked about women that has inspired her. So could you tell me some of them, the women that you have seen in this space and in every other space, and how they have inspired you over the years?
Sure, absolutely. I'm from Bangladesh, right? So my journey also started right after I graduated from a business school, and I have seen development all through because my father is in the NGO space, and he's been there for 50 years. We basically grew up going to schools in poverty-stricken areas, going around the field work. So I had a lot of exposure to that growing up. Uh, unlike unlike other countries, Bangladesh is very rich with a lot of good NGO work, right? So we were privileged in seeing all of that examples growing up, and I have seen a lot of women field workers who were working with in my father's projects or in other projects who really inspired me. So they were very simple, very honest, and very hardworking women who were working directly with children, with other women, with farmers, right? Engaging very boldly with the government when it took, when it came to taking stands for their communities, and especially the young students as well. So I don't think it's one person or that has inspired me. I think as a whole, the role that young women started playing in this sector had inspired me and encouraged me to come into this sector. But when I came to Nigeria, it was a whole different set of reasons why they inspired me, right? So I come from a culture which is quite conservative. So women have taken quite a bit of time to be able to voice their opinions, to be bold, which is why the NGO workers I'm talking about stood out quite a bit. But when I came to Nigeria, for example, I don't remember if I told Ovo this or Belinda this. I remember saying, oh my God, every woman drives. This was not common for me, right? This was actually quite interesting and very encouraging for me, right? And back then I actually didn't know how to drive myself, so I learned how to drive in Nigeria, right? So when I came here, the women in general inspired me by just how bold and they just don't take any kind of nonsense, right? I think that's really where I got very inspired with Nigerian women, and I have a lot of good friends who are Nigerian women. But one person who I admire as a figure is Ngozi Okonjo. I think that woman is a force of nature. I think that woman has been able to go against all odds throughout her career, even before WTO. She has always exemplified what it means to stand for your grounds, what it means to fight against corruption, and she's still doing such a wonderful job. So I think I really look up to her as a woman.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Ifat. I also share the same opinion. I also like her very much. I see what she's doing. So I have another question. I want us to quickly just go with the flow. What?
Good to hear what Belinda's inspiration.
Yes.
Blessing is there now. Do you want to get there?
Hi, Blessing. Welcome.
Hi, good to be here.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Good to see you again. So, I'm going to go to Blessing. I'm sorry, Belinda. Now, yes, I have a question for you. Who would you say you look up to the most? I know that we have a lot of people. I have a lot of people I consider my role model, right? But then there is one person that I would say stand out. So who would that be and why? Why would you say this woman inspires me every day? I would want to be like this person, or I like what this person is doing. If I just mentioned Okonjo-Iweala, she has a whole lot of women in Nigeria that she has seen do things for the girl child, for women, but she singled her out for some reason. So who do you say, or who would you point out to as this woman inspires me day in and day out? That's to Belinda.
So much. This is a very important question. And in every woman's life, you need someone who is like, encouraging you all the time. And one particular person that has encouraged me a lot is my mother. You'll be surprised. Like the first person you meet in your life is my mother. She is a force that, if you think that I am inspiring others, well, think about someone who has inspired like tens and tens of thousands in her own small way. And every day when I look at her, I see her as like somebody that I want to be. Think about my mom is someone who took care of like four of us, right? At the same time, she had other businesses that she was running on the side. She, in her retirement right now, she runs a restaurant. You won't believe it. And every time I think about her, I see her as someone I aspire to be. I am sitting here in another country managing three kids, and I'm screaming my head off. And I'm wondering, how did she do it? So, my mother is one of the best, persons who have, spearheaded and encouraged me throughout my entire career. So I would say that's, yeah, her name is Theresa Wilson, and I'm very proud of her. Thank you.
I hope you hear us there. We love you.
Yes, so that was the best answer you could ever give. I mean, your mom comes first before everybody. So thank you for that. Thank you for reminding us as a woman, as a girl child, the first person that nurtures you, helps you, it's your mother. So she should be the right answer to that question. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Blessing, it's nice to see you again. So I'm coming over to you. I have a question. Hi. I have a question.
Alena Debayo. So thank you. It's such an honor to be here and with other inspirational women that I look up to. Belinda and Ifat, very nice to see you, and Obo, of course. Thank you.
Blessing, do you want to share with us what your inspiration has been as a woman, and what challenges did you find, in getting people within development that are women to inspire you? If you could just walk us through that.
So, unfortunately, I'm going to start with my mom. So, because apart from my mom, I come from a long lineage of women who pioneer things. So, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and my mom is the first woman in her lineage to have a formal university degree up to the master's level. And she went to the master's level from zero to all the way. And she was a teacher, and she did have growth to the pinnacle of her career before she just retired now. And I remember one time every time that she had built her career, her children were part of it. She integrated us. As a teacher, we would go to her school, would participate in her work, and we were part of that system. So that gave me a platform, just a foundation to see another woman working and having a great family and integrating that seamlessly. So we understood what she was doing, and we're also part of her life and her work. So in development space also, there's this woman I really look up to. Her name is Ibuku Anwoshika. She's a leader, and she drives international trade and economic growth across various countries, both in the country and across various countries. I admire her a lot for her strong leadership values. We live in Nigeria is a country where integrity is such a big deal. And many times it's difficult to find inspirational leaders who navigate the different political systems and still maintain their integrity. They speak about it boldly and still succeed. Especially as women, growing a business, driving nations, sitting in boardrooms, and still holding your own as a woman of integrity and creating great impact. So she inspires me a lot. And I already have pioneering women in my bloodline.
Awesome.
Thank you for that, Blessing. Okay, so we are talking about breaking barriers today. What are the struggles you think women face in generally And how do we break those barriers? Let's get into the topic of the day.
So am I starting? So if I'm starting, I will start with like a personal story. When I got into the development sector as working as a development professional, I was single, and then while working, I got married and had kids, and I had to navigate various transitions. And one of the first things that I had to deal with was after I had my kids, it seemed like everything I had done before that time disappeared and decimated. I found myself trying to prove that I was competent. It wasn't something that someone said to me, but it was just something in thin air. I found myself trying harder than necessary. And fortunately for me, I had twins. So it felt like my life had ended. But that struggle was there. And to be fair, while there was maternity leave, there were no systems to help me navigate that. Both the emotional and the technical barriers that I was facing, they seemed invisible, but they were tangible. I felt kind of alone in that space. There were no systems to help me navigate how to go through it. So over time, I had to develop that myself. And for women in various parts of the world, it seems like there are no systems to understand their specific challenges that they have. They have challenges accessing finance for business, had challenges accessing healthcare, and all of these systems are just set up for everybody, but not for them specifically. So I just feel and know that many of the systems that are already in place do not understand how women get into those systems and do not make room for them to go in without suffering a loss of their self-esteem, their confidence, and worrying about how everyone is going to see them while they navigate the new changes. Yeah.
Very interesting. It would be good to hear from Belle. Belle, you have kids as well. What was your experience like? And in your more than a decade years of experience in development, what are the barriers women face in attaining to leadership position in the international development space?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. And there are many barriers that women face, especially when you are a career-driven woman and then you have a family to take care of. One thing that I know is that you need to surround yourself with the people that are most important to drive your career. And if you don't do that, you feel like you are stuck. You feel that all you do is take care of kids. Of course, you are a beacon and you need to be the inspiration that you provide to your kids, just like my mom did for me. So, whilst you are inspiring a younger generation and building your family, you also need to build your career and not leave it behind. One thing that has also helped me is a very, very resourceful partner, my husband. You need to also find that it's not just women who build women. There are some men who will also, move you along with them and help you to be able to develop. So, I worked on investing in myself, finding the things that inspire me, finding the things that are the frontier of my career that people have not thought about, or it's an emerging field that I need to be in front of. For instance, something like data engineering is something that is creeping into the monitoring and evaluation space. And nobody has actually thought about how you can use AI and data or engineer data in such a way that you can use it within this field. So I've spent a lot of my time in the past year learning how to do that and learning innovative ways to kind of build my career in a way that makes sense. Having done that, I had to think about, how do I move myself from being always looking for someone to employ me to a point where I rather find my work and employ people, right? Which meant that I had to build a network. So I went back and I looked at all the networks that I could build. One of the most significant ones it was funny when I thought about it was In secondary school, we have this thing in Ghana where when you finish secondary school, your friends are forever friends, right? So I went to a high school that was an all-girls school. I find a lot of inspiration from that area because I went to a school called Wesley Girls High School. It's one of the best secondary schools you will find in Ghana, and it's all women. I find that people within my age group, right, are aspiring and doing things that I could borrow from. So I always go back to that group. We have a WhatsApp group, and I always try to find inspiration from there. And then you need to be adaptable, very adaptable. There's a new word in the engineering space called a water spider. The water spider, you must be able to change when the world changes. The world is changing a lot, and you need to be adaptable to that change. So if you have this mindset, and you need to also be very strategic about how you go about it, have a strategic mindset, build a plan, build a network, be bold, and invest in yourself. And that's how I get out of all the challenges
Thank you very
that,
much.
yeah.
Thank you so much. So your network, I mean, you talked about your husband as your support system. Developing yourself does give you a competitive edge, and be strategic about it. In fact, what's your experience like? Barriers, in terms of barriers to leadership position in international development, as well as just looking at women in general, how to move that scale and break those barriers. What's been your experience?
So I am on the other spectrum, right? Single,
Yes.
and so no kids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So the challenges I've faced are, I'm sure Ovo, you'll also resonate with some of them. Is I think the major one is when you are a young person in leadership positions, um, you do get a lot of pushback, right? And that pushback is not very apparent. It's not on your face, but as you go along, that pushback is certainly there, right? Your relationship status matters in your professional world as a woman, and it does not matter for a man, right? Hardly anybody will ask a man whether he's married or he has a partner, but a woman, that's the first question they're asking you, right? And then, of course, when you're looking at religion, you're looking at multicultural environments where I've met a lot of very strong women who had to be very strong, right? So we have to be strong. We kind of almost have to be arrogant sometimes, even if it's against our personalities or who we are, just to make sure that we are able to exert our leadership. And to be honest, I was surprised that this is not just something that I have faced because I'm single or I'm from Asia working in Africa, right? None of that. It's actually shared by women all over the world. So I was doing a course on women in leadership, where there were members from 7 different countries, and all of them face the same problem. And the age group was from 35 to 65. So I'm still surprised that we still have these kind of challenges, but also we are basically marching ahead. So we are there. We're good.
Yes, yes. In case you don't know, Ifat had introduced herself before. Ifat is the African lead for innovation consulting. Blessing is an environmental specialist and works with the global team of people in need. And Belinda is an independent consultant who is a senior expert when it comes to monitoring, evaluation, research, and learning. Thank you very much for that insight. Kalista, you were going to ask another question.
Yes, I was going to ask another question. I think it's a very important question. So we have been talking about the challenges that women face in the development space as leaders and generally. What do you think? Do you think we are progressing in terms of changing the status quo?
Yes, I would say so. I don't know. What do you think? I think the status quo is changing. Something Ifat mentioned about, being young and being a female. I've said this before in an interview, and for the sake of this, I have to say it again. When I was attaining to some leadership position on a different project, someone told me that I am a Southern female Christian. Those are the barriers you face. But despite that, I still made it, I still made it and went through. And I think it boils down to what Belinda said about developing yourself. You have to work harder to prove yourself, but those barriers are gradually breaking. With your expert power and, your reverent power, you are able to push those skills. If you're nodding your head, you want to say something about that? The skills are moving, right? We are making progress as women.
100%, 100%. I mean, I think that's more so also in this continent and even in West Africa, right? So here, despite religious barriers, despite social barriers, I've seen a lot of women in every sphere of the society just pushing through. And I think it's also a function of necessity, right? So when your back is against the wall, you don't have time to be bothered by who is bothered by you, right? So you just march ahead. Absolutely, the barriers are breaking.
I think that the fact that you are able to find enough women for even a discussion like this is progress, you understand, in itself. Because like some years ago, it was difficult to find someone to look up to. But the fact that you can find this number to come together and have a conversation is good enough. It's evidence that there's progress being attained. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Blessing, what do you think?
Yes, I think that women inspiring other women is even making a compounding effect. So now the more women we have breaking barriers, entering into those leadership roles, you can now look up and see a woman like you becoming president, becoming a leader, being a country director. Then you know that I can do this. You look at your someone in front of you, you look at leaders, you look at people that inspire you, and you know I can do this. And mentorship also plays such a significant role in this. So having mentors and coaches, even if you don't have them personally, you can pay and attend programs where you have mentors who can show you how they do it, because we learn from each other. And having other people who have gone ahead of you, who can talk you through the process and show you the ropes, makes a difference for women, especially because men have their networks. So women have the mentors and coaches. Yes.
I think I want to add something there. It's so important that I think male mentors, when they network with each other, it's mostly professional and for business gains, right? But when women come together and when you're mentoring another woman or the women mentors I've had, it always is more personal, right? Because there are more personal issues and mental barriers that we have to overcome, that we are helped with, more than the professional. We are good with professional and skills. It's our mindset that we have to, work with, which is very interesting for me and lovely. Like I'm grateful for this.
Absolutely. Are there any specific things, initiatives that you're each carrying out on your own that is helping to move the scale for women, creating inclusion for women? You want to talk about it in a minute or two?
Yeah, I can start. So I spend some of my time. There's a friend of mine who has come up with an idea to inspire young Africans who are becoming evaluators. And I spend like my Saturdays kind of talking to them and mentoring them to become better evaluators in the space. And there are quite a number of women in there, in that group, about five of them. So my idea is to kind of get close to them and mentor them in such a way that they become good evaluators as well. So yeah, and then I, spend my time also talking to women who own agribusinesses, because there's another part of me that looks at strategic planning and all of that. So in my neighborhood, there is a Nigerian woman who has started a business working with women gathering share in different parts of West Africa, and I spend some of my time talking to her about how she can make the business a good one. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Thanks.
I know you're a pastor's wife, so you do this naturally. Yes. Go ahead, Blessing.
So I do have an initiative for women in England, but I could just step back a little and tell you how that came about. So last year I needed a reference for something important that I was applying for. And it turned out that, there was a certain criteria for that kind of person. And I couldn't find any woman in my space. I knew great women who were doing very well, but I found myself talking to men and explaining to men why this was important and why they should give me references. And I just thought to myself, like, I have great women who could have been in these kind of positions. So let me start with my circle, like just like Belinda said, surround yourself with people who activate and energize you. So I started with women in my circle, and I pulled together a group of 12 women who are living abroad, Nigerian women living abroad and working in this space. And we have monthly meetings, but we have weekly conversations. I started identifying barriers to certain things we should be doing and we're not doing. The first of it is when we look at applications, we remove ourselves from it. We don't want to apply for many of those roles. So we'll bring them down and break it into pieces. I remember when I applied for this role as a global advisor, there were about 6 or 7 criteria for the position. And I think the first 4 or 5 did not apply. I just found 2 things I could do there. And I said, I could do this job. And I applied for it. So first we get in that space and we pull that together. The second thing I do with the group of women is we plan our year and we are accountable for achieving our goals. Because sometimes women have great plans. They have great things that they want to do, but something just keeps stopping them. But I realized that if you have a friend encouraging you, supporting you, telling you you can do this, connecting you to other people who have done this before, and just holding your hand through the process, you'll be able to achieve your goals. So we don't need to create new goals for women. We already know what we want to do. It's just going about doing it. We already have the skills. It's just believing that we can do this thing and going for it. So that's what my initiative is about in England right now. Thank you.
Before we forget, Blessing, is this for only Nigerian women? Because I badly need this.
You need to add us to the group.
Okay,
Yes.
I would.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about that.
No, it's fantastic. No, it's fantastic, Blessing, because as you were saying, I was also thinking that too. I often suffer from this as well, right? Because I have a lot of female friends, very good friends, but they're all in different spaces of their lives. A lot of them have children, right? And it's just not the same. There's very little accountability or peer support I can get through my goals. So that would be fantastic. Congratulations on doing that. Back to OVO. I don't think personally I'm doing a lot really for women, and I must be transparent about it. But as an organization and that I'm leading, women empowerment and financial inclusion is just naturally what we do, right? So in all the programs that we are working on, my role has always been to ensure that we embed that aspect into each of our programs. And that has been in recent years in Nigeria, in Tanzania, Ethiopia, South Africa, Zambia. So we've done that across these countries. But personally, I don't think I'm making that big of an impact. But I will add it to my 2025 goal.
But you are doing that within innovation. So that's great and fantastic. I don't think I have personal ones myself. It's mostly what I've done through Ikore or the social enterprise Channel Hill that that I co-founded. And it's really finding opportunities to build capacity of women, help them improve their decision-making power. And very recently, I think sometime last year, we started this Development Professionals Connect. The aim of that is to bring professionals within the space, both those at leadership level and entry level, to have a chance to mingle, get a chance to be inspired, hear and know what is required, to grow and things like that. So we appreciate what you're doing at Innovation. Do you want to ask
Yes.
what's happening looking forward?
Yes. So I have just one question. What would you say you still aspire to be?
Oh, for me,
Yes.
I have this slogan that I want to die empty. So I don't think I've started yet. My big interest is to be able to leverage network of great women that I already know and those that I find inspiring to do more. Learning is my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I want to continue learning. And within Ikore and all other enterprise that I engage in, I want to continue to find ways, new ways of doing things that will break that barrier for women, young women, old women. In fact, the old women are becoming the neglected group. When you get married, have kids, it becomes a bit more challenging.
Very
So
true.
I want to just continue to strive to look for new ways of getting women to be more included and to have a voice.
All right. Ifat, over to you. Can we hear what you still aspire to be?
It does seem our network is frozen, but if you can hear us, yes. Okay, sorry, our network froze for a bit. We're directing the question to you, Ifat. In terms of like future aspiration, what do you see yourself within Innovation and anywhere else doing to the next generation of women leaders and helping them step into that role as leaders and accelerate progress?
Thank you. As Innovation, we are expanding our footprint across the continent. And when it comes to expanding our footprint, we basically want to be able to work with local, which means if I'm working in Ethiopia, then Ethiopian workforce. If I'm working in Nigeria, then Nigerian teams. And of course, majority of them end up being women, right? So what our vision is in the next 5 years to be able to be present in all the countries that we have touched so far and build very strong capacity amongst our teams so that we have a global south to south collaboration, as I was explaining the other day, where the south and the country itself now dictates what kind of development happens in our countries and not necessarily led by the north. That's definitely a vision. It's a big one, but I think we will, inshallah, achieve it. On a personal level, I want to take more risks. Right? I want to take more risks in terms of investing in not only just women, but businesses that we see potential in, that we have a gut feeling that it can work, but are not getting the right support. And we want to be able to channel that support in very effective ways, not just projects, not just assignment based, but actually harnessing the private sector, harnessing the resources we have with the government and the donors to be able to provide long-term support and have these businesses thrive. And a lot of them, again, happen to be women-led.
Thank you very much, Ifat. Blessing? Okay, it's like our internet is woozing. What about Belinda? Okay, Blessing.
Systems expert, and in my work, I
What
promote.
about Belinda?
So sorry, I think, were you speaking?
Go ahead, Blessing. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So I'm market system expert, and in my work, I promote
Yes, go
I
ahead.
promote
We can hear you. Go ahead.
women economic development. And part of what I am doing with my work and also with my voice and platforms that I'm part of is to show how women economic empowerment can change the world. I do that by writing about it, by talking about it, and driving it in any program where I'm advising or developing proposal or projects. And I've had my colleagues sometimes ask me, when we're doing targets, ask me, why is it just women? I said, well, that's what I'm interested in. So I'm always interested in anything that gives women more money. I think that once women have more money and have access to decision making around money, the world can actually change. It's actually a shift for the world. On a personal level, I'm interested in girls in STEM. So I have a PhD in environmental and public health microbiology. And it has taken a lot for me to stay on that pathway because of my love for science. I know several young ladies and girls who love science, who want to do things around science, but there seem to be no opportunities for work afterwards, especially in developing countries. So I want to have an initiative that promotes STEM for girls and also connect them to opportunities that keep them there from as early as secondary school, because that is where when they start dropping off, from as early as secondary school, and drive that across. In the meantime, I'm a STEM ambassador, just volunteering here in England, but I want to do something for Africa and starting with Nigeria to encourage girls to stay in STEM and grow in STEM. I think that would contribute to the next group of women being empowered economically if we're able to stay in high impact sectors and make money. I really want women to have more money, more access to resources, and decision making power. Thank you.
From here, thank you very much, Blessing. Belinda, we're wrapping up. Yes.
I have a small initiative that I do. I find people who want to do or educate themselves, especially women, and I invest and inspire them to get an education. So I will continue doing that. I've done that with one person the last time. She's almost done with her first degree. So hopefully I can do that again. This other thing is that I just started my PhD and I hope that in the next 5 years I will be done. In the midst of that, I will be looking to invest in a business, an existing one, or to start one myself. And I'll be looking at IFAT to give me some inspiration in that aspect. So, yeah, I hope that my life is good enough to also inspire others as I move on. And I'll be looking for great women like you, Ovo, Ifat, and Blessing to also, help me to kind of, you know, make the best version of Belinda. Thanks.
Very much, Belinda. Thank you, everyone else.
Yes.
You want to say one last word in a
Yes.
minute?
So I have just one question left.
It's done. We're done.
Done?
Time up.
Okay,
Yeah.
but over to you. So, what advice would you give to the next generation of women?
Oh my God, I'm not in the best position to advise anyone. I
So-
need advice myself.
who can take up that question? What advice would you give to me?
I would say never say die. Even if it has never been done before, you can be the first. The way to build resilience is not to avoid challenges. Is what you do with those bullwhip experiences. There'll be ups and there'll be downs. There'll be a lot of no's. Your ability to push through. It's that pushing through energy. So never say die. There are many people and many things that you can draw inspiration from. Always look. If you search, you will find. So search and you will find. I think I'd like to keep it there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's really amazing to be having this conversation with women who inspire me. I am very happy to be part of this. So with that,
Thank you
we'll
so
take a bow.
much. Let me especially thank my friends, Ifad, Belinda, Blessing. I really appreciate your time and thank you so much. We're hoping we'll have a chance to allow some women that are present here to ask you questions, but we kind of overshot the time. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate this. We will be putting this online. I hope we have your permission to do that. And have a good day.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Yes. All right. Bye-bye. Yes. All right.